Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Our Thread, the podcast, bringing our content to you. I'm All It Is, and I'm here with my compadres, Beware, Doc, Cap, and Savage. And today we bring you episode 21, Little Miss Sunshine versus Menace to Society. Two movies that are far from similar, except they both deal with life and death. In Menace to Society, Kane is asked whether he cares if he lives or dies. When he finally realizes that he does want to live, it's too late. In Little Miss Sunshine, the characters have so many more options and opportunities to be happy, but each character is struggling to find happiness. And on a philosophical road trip, the Hoover family is accompanied by Steve Carell's character, Frank, who just tried to kill himself. Unlike in Menace to Society, Frank gets the privilege and more time to discover he does want to live, ending with the whole family getting a second chance to rediscover their happiness. Very much unlike Menace to Society's ending. But before we get into this powwow, let me get a special shout out to tonight's sponsor, Toys for Tots. Toys for Tots has been supplying children less fortunate with toys since 1947. And last year, they provided over 7 million kids with toys. Make a donation today with just a few clicks or try the new virtual toy box option and pick out a toy yourself. It's Christmas, the season of perpetual hope. So give a gift today, folks, at toysfortots.org. Almost time to go. After we hit you with that intro music by Beware. Let's go.
I can't help it. I love you.
Forrest, you don't know what love is.
I'm not going to debate you, Jerry. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and debate.
You're a bald-faced liar. A fucking liar.
I mean, God forbid they should make a mistake and forget to steal.
I will not apologize for what I want.
Stop trying to control everything and just let go.
I drink it up. Don't bully me.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
They're okay.
Either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Hold on to your butts.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Our Thread podcast, bringing our content to you, featuring All It Is.
It's official, old buddy. Who has been.
Beware.
From then on, he was known as Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
The Doc.
You're the doc, Doc.
The Cap.
Oh, if you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask? Big fuck.
And myself, Savage.
I'm 6'5", 220, and there's two of me.
Homework's in, let's begin. Comparing these two movies to discover which movie is greater seems unfair. But if you had to, I think Little Miss Sunshine would seem selfish and a little bit ignorant because Menace to Society's philosophy for happiness in life and death is so much more powerful, sad, and true. The Nietzsche philosophy of do whatever makes you feel happy is a lot harder for characters in Menace to Society. I know we do like to compare the films, although that's not what the job of this podcast is. It's to find out which movie is greater. Do any of the discussants want to talk about a comparison you could find between these films? Doc?
Yeah, so I want to appreciate you kind of bringing in the philosophical kind of perspectives of each of these movies, and I think you're spot on, man. One of the other ones that I thought of or was thinking of that both of these might entail is kind of like this nihilistic or nihilism in terms of like this rejection of norms or principles or values. Whereas like in Menace to Society, like you literally see Kane, rejecting his grandfather's like Christian beliefs, like, he even says like in one ear out the other, and you see what their boy, is it Sharif, their boy, or Shahir maybe, that is like always kind of preaching this Muslim philosophy, and they're kind of making fun of him, ragging on him. So they're kind of dogging that. And then you get to Frank and Dwayne, and Nietzsche is like, that's what his thing is. It's kind of nihilistic kind of this like there's a reason to hate the world and everyone in it, or at least that's Dwayne's interpretation, and kind of rejects everything. But the one thing that I did see that is different between these movies then is that like these characters all go on two different journeys, whereas in Menace Society, it's fatalistic in that it's kind of like predetermined and it's this cycle, whereas the other one in Little Miss Sunshine is more kind of like this metamorphosis, or this kind of like the characters kind of go through this like change and realization and process. So although kind of both of them kind of reject these norms, I guess one is more predetermined and kind of like is this like self-fulfilling prophecy, whereas Little Miss Sunshine, you see more kind of evolution, I guess, in the characters.
Savage, you just watched this movie for the first time. What do you have to say about any similarities in your first impressions of Menace to Society?
Seeing Menace to Society for the first time, I did enjoy it. Kind of like Boys in the Hood, where you can kind of trace like where these similar storylines that you hear about in the Black experience kind of come from. So it was kind of a, I don't want to say eye-opening look, because I feel like we've kind of gone there a little bit with this style of movie and like media and pop culture and some of the music that we listen to, but it's kind of a nice view, and seeing it getting it on the big screen, I think is probably important for a lot of people in the population. So
Well, even just from the first minute of the movie, which is really fantastic in Menace to Society, you're getting into a way different film, and anything can happen in the hood. Beware has definitely seen this movie probably more than all of us, but he just watched it recently. Beware, what do you have to say?
The opening scene, I love how it literally starts second one as the Miramax credits are coming in, the movie's starting. I love that. You're hearing the Kane overdubbed over that as they walk into the liquor store. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to say. This is, in comparison to Boys in the Hood, it's the more violent movie. None of the families in Boys in the Hood come from families as broken as they do in Menace, at least in terms of the lead characters. And so the storylines are representative of that. And so therefore the movie's just a little more dialed up across the board. I will say, without getting into some of the details, we'll get into how it's basically like a tale of how you can become a murderer and deal with being a murderer, and how it's just okay, and the consequences of that, whether there are some or aren't any, internally and externally, and all that stuff will probably come up. And difficulty leaving the hood, that's a huge theme of the movie. Those principles are not necessarily as blatant, I suppose, in Little Miss Sunshine. The people's problems are a little bit more surface level or not spelled out. I have a feeling I don't really understand why the grandpa has the issues. So like I don't really understand the back of that story. There's a few things like that in Little Miss Sunshine where you can't really understand the weight of the situation, but you feel the weight. It's not to take away from it. You just don't really have the context. Where Menace, the context is so obvious. But this is kind of just a weird point to wrap my comparison of the two up, if that was a comparison at all, is that they're both funny. Both obviously Little Miss Sunshine's way funnier, but like as I was watching Menace, there was probably 10, 15 times where I was genuinely like, this is a good movie and really well written, and the finer points of the comedy and the finer points of the story in that movie, and that the fact that they can have comedy in there, they just portray to the reality of it. And it's like you can really take movies like that super seriously and not have that kind of reality to it, but the fact that they don't see the consequences of their actions allows for the comedy to be more represented. And also, kind of, while it's funny, it's disturbing half the time. You want a couple burgers? Who wants some burgers? What? Like, oh my, that's funny, but it's also like, holy shit. And so there's definitely that in Little Miss Sunshine too, funny but holy shit. And I think that's kind of a good way to put both of these movies.
Yeah, makes me think of the suicide scene in Little Miss Sunshine. That's pretty heavy for a whole thing, but it's different realities, and you're right, they both are touching on darker things and making light of it.
Both these movies are dark movies, and like the content is really fucking depressing, and like it's real, it's depressing, it's violent, it's hopeless, and there's some real insecurities and problems going on with these characters. And it's like the use of comedy is so brilliant and so perfect and so well placed that it's like you find yourself laughing at these perfectly timed points to kind of relieve. It's like a pressure release valve. Of kind of like the drama that's building in all these. I literally wrote, I don't think this is a comedy. It's very, very dark tragedy on many levels, with many flawed characters, deep insecurities, imperfections, who all have to face some pretty serious shit. And it's really like a sad, depressing story. And they use like comedy to make the story more tolerable. And then also there's like these really obvious uses of like yellow van, sunshine, peppy music, to kind of brighten the story as well. And And so it's
I like that. The dark comedy tricks of the trade, you know?
Yep.
You actually touched on what I wanted to get at is I guess the not the lighting, but the colors used in Little Miss Sunshine. It does take this. When I think of Little Miss Sunshine, I do think of like this happy comedy. But as I'm watching it, it's like my senses are being toyed with a little bit because it's always sunny out in that movie. If you notice, it's most of the movie takes place during the daytime, and there is this fan, and then there's these almost like cartoon-like characters that are meeting this way for the first time. Like their family is meeting in this way for the first time ever. So all this shit is hitting the fan, but like at the same time, it is like
hilarious.
It's like they're almost wearing the same clothes. They're probably not, but like they're almost wearing the same kind of outfits every day. That's why I said cartoon characters. It's almost just like these are the characters, and that's it. That's like everything else outside of their
kind of a random comparison is two different comparisons of poor, you know, like obviously suburban poor and urban poor, I suppose. Like, you know, and sometimes that's like the only thing you can relate to. It's nice that we are crossing cultures to understand more as film lovers. That's very important to a great film. But this is going to relate a lot more to people that are white, I suppose. And then of course, to people that are black for Menace to Society. It is kind of a weird comparison, but I think it's fair to mention it.
I think in Little Miss Sunshine, they do a good job of showing, you know, where their family is at financially, obviously struggling, and you know, throwing money into sort of this shitty self-help idea that Greg Kinnear's character has. One thing I wanted to point out about their house at the beginning, I think, is pretty telling of like their situation. They're doing, you know, the fried chicken dinner and the paper plates, and they're passing
chicken
out,
again with the fucking chicken again.
right? They're passing out the different cups. Like some people are getting like a little mason jar, and you know, everybody's getting like a different.
What,
kind
the Burger King, the Burger King cups? Is that what they are, guys?
There's a Mayor McCheese.
McDonald's. Okay, McDonald's
cup.
Yeah, the cups that you save, you know, when you get it, and then it just becomes one of your cups.
Pretty cool item. So why don't we were talking about just, you know, switching things up just a little bit here on our thread. So we're gonna do memorabilia. Real good segue from these collectible cups. I don't know, maybe somebody wants these collectible cups. We're gonna go to Doc.
One of the things that we've talked about throughout this podcast is that there's a lot of characters kind of named Doc, nicknamed Doc, and that's, as you all know, that's kind of my name. In Menace to Society, there's a character named Doc. And so my memorabilia is, if you guys caught this at the picnic, and whenever you see him, he's wearing a hat that says Doc on it. It's a black hat with white letters that say Doc. And I fucking love that. I like jumped out of my seat and was like, yes, that's my memorabilia faux show.
I think that's a DOC hat, like the rapper DOC.
And is he okay? Now let's really quickly talk about rapper Cameos in Menace to Society. We have Too Short and we have MC8. Is DOC in the film? Is that him? No. Is there any other rappers in there, Beware?
I don't think so. There might be, but if there is, I'm not familiar with it off the top of my head.
The guy who plays Vato number 4, his name is Based Dub.
Okay. There you go.
Sounds like a rapper name.
Yeah, well, I'll check out his mixtape later tonight.
Well, while we're talking about rappers, I got some facts for the night. MC8, as you guys referenced, was playing kind of, his name was A-Wax, but also who was considered for that role was MC Ren. So they wanted to get like a artist to play that. And then also another person that was up for consideration for Kane was Spice One, which Spice One has a couple songs. And then I'm sure you guys all know this story, but Tupac Shakur was supposed to play Sharif, and was basically during the filming of the movie, initial couple of days of the filming, Tupac got into a fight with co-director Alan Hughes, and got kicked out of the movie.
He would have killed that role too, man. Like
he would have stole the movie, I think. Tupac got charged with assault and battery, served jail time for that instance, and kind of crazy.
So, Cap, since you and Doc's idea was to go first with memorabilia, what is your piece of memorabilia?
Either one of or all of Greg Kinnear's spot-on dad outfits. The white socks, the cheap tennis shoes, the pleated golf shorts, the tucked in golf shirt with the cell phone clip. I think that I can rock that style.
I like that. I love him. Beware.
I was going to say the 5.0 Mustang that Kane rolls around in.
Ooh, I think that's the second. I think that's the second Mustang that somebody has got. Is that right? Did somebody else get a Mustang, or was that a BMW? I'm not. Somebody's got a car.
With the Daytons, obviously, right?
Oh yeah.
I took a Rushmore car.
Post stealing.
Well, the Bentley.
I took the Bentley.
Oh shit! All right, we got some swag out here from Memorabilia. What about you, Savage?
Yeah, I usually take vehicles or modes of transportation. I've taken a few sailboats, taken a few cars, definitely. It's got to be the Volkswagen Type 2, man. It's that's the bus. That's what it's all about.
You taking it with that broken horn too?
Fuck yeah. And I have a lot to say about that scene too.
It's going to be our thread vehicle because you're going to need us to push it into third gear for you. I want Dwayne's Paul Dano's shirt collection. I'm going to take both of them. Hopefully, Jesus was wrong. The yellow T-shirt. I'd rock that. There'd be times it'd be very seasonal, but I'd rock that. And then the Big Brother T-shirt is what he's clearly like penned onto his T-shirt. I thought that was going to be the artwork that Cap chose, but it's okay. The collaboration from Cock is fabulous, and their Guy Love really put forward some artwork. So we've got memorabilia out of the way. We all got some good items. I'm happy with that T-shirt collection. We're going to go back to where we usually go after our synopsis is into characters.
Is this my favorite character, or is it the character that I feel like is?
Oh, yes. I know you. Wait, worst characters is now a great option. So your least favorite character?
It's not worst character by any means. I think it's still best character, but it's because it's the best written character in my opinion. But he's just so like hard to watch. I mean, it's O-Dog, and he's just Now,
O-Dog was the craziest nigga alive. America's nightmare. Young, black, and didn't give a fuck.
Just a fireball, man. And he has no regard for anyone, let alone himself, obviously. He has no self-awareness, doesn't give a fuck about anything. And it's just insane to see that perspective and like how it interacts isn't the right word, how it collides with other people. And like, there's certain scenes in the movie where he's just obviously showing the tape, but when he's talking in the front seat of the car, in a great scene, and we'll get to the scenes, and then when they're talking in the seat of the car about how he's just playing the video, or how he's been playing the video, and how he thinks he's going to get famous like Steven Seagal off of the video, like, and he's serious, like, what? And it's not like it's poorly written, you know what I mean? Like, you believe that he believes it, and it's insanity. And that is just such a crazy microcosm. And then on top of that, when it shows Kane and him get arrested, but he doesn't get arrested because he's still a minor, which is insane. And then all of a sudden, Kane gets arrested and he's in the hospital, or he's in jail, I should say. And then O-Dog doesn't get arrested. And the first thing he does is murder the crackhead. And then just doesn't even care about it, and doesn't even like think there's anything wrong with it. What? Why are you guys mad at me? Because I shot this guy and took these hamburgers. And like, it's just
two things you shouldn't say to O-Dog. I'll suck your dick, and I feel sorry for your mom.
What you say about my mom?
You might want to not say that to somebody. So I got to give it. It's like some people are way too hypersensitive to talking about their mom and saying you're going to suck a dick.
I'll leave it at that.
My favorite character is going to be from Little Miss Sunshine. It is, I don't say the most essential character to the movie, but definitely the character that makes me laugh the most is Greg Kinnear. First of all, I love Greg Kinnear as an actor. I feel like he's such a strong actor, and he does this one so convincingly. It's a tough role to pull off, and for it to be like sincere, because this is a guy that is doing the thing that like almost anybody would just be ashamed to do with any type of conviction. To start a self-help thing when you're a nobody is like such a stupid business endeavor, and he does it with complete conviction. So it's like his character is that positive push to the movie that like gets people maybe even pissed, like constantly pissing his own family off, and you can see that they're like giving looks to each other because he's always pushing for this positive and hardworking work ethic, like you must. So like the perfect example I think of his character doing his thing is at, when they're sitting around ordering breakfast, and she orders the waffles a la Modi, I think she calls it. He gives this whole speech about how all these beauty queens are not eating ice cream for every meal, certainly not. And, are they fat? Are they skinny? And he gives this kind of disgusting speech to her that he believes. He knows that, like, what he's saying, he has to know that what he's saying is being looked at the rest of the table like he's the bad guy. And I think that's part of his shtick, is that like the bad guy is a winner a lot of the times, and that's
there's
what he's
two
pushing.
kinds of people in this world: winners and losers. Cap, would you agree, or is that not accurate?
There are two kinds of people in this world: winners and losers. Inside each and every one of you, at the very core of your being, is a winner waiting to be awakened and unleashed upon the world. With my 9-step Refuse to Lose program, you now have the necessary tools and the insights and the know-how to put your losing habits behind you and to go out and make your dreams come true.
I think that's pretty far from accurate, but he makes it seem pretty shitty, like a shitty life. To be a winner, you've got to be a piece of shit.
So you're absolutely right. In the intro, even though he's so Jen and he plays the part so well, then there is where he actually turns into what he wanted to be. He turns into that person in the hospital when he's about to say no, like, are we winners? Are we losers? And even his son, Frank, everybody is on board, like, no, I think we're doing it. We're winners now.
I think that rings true to his character. It's like, he's in a corner and he's like, what are we gonna do? Give up? No, we're gonna fucking throw my dad out the window and wrap him up in a sheet. That's what he's willing to do to win and to get his daughter to this thing. So I think that like it is a testament to how much he believes in what he preaches. And I would be willing to bet that like most people who do that type of thing they're selling something. They're not necessarily believing in it wholeheartedly, but he says, when he's getting rejected by Bryan Cranston, he's just like, give up. What are you talking? He's not living in like a reality.
Beware. What's his name in the movie? We were talking about it. Every movie needs this character.
It's Stan Grossman.
Yes, everybody needs a Stan Grossman, man. Stan Grossman is that guy. He's selling something, like Cap was saying. What do you think, Beware? Stan Grossman's like that organic cheap shot that I love.
He's a great character that you can like be alluding to throughout a whole movie, only to get to him, an hour away, and it's an hour through the movie, and it's either good or bad, but you're always working towards it. You can bring up Stan Grossman 5 times along the way. One thing I wanted to point out quickly about the scene that Cap mentioned, where they're taking him out, I feel like the body out, I feel like that's the first time actually his family believes him. Like, they never believe him, and they never believe the conviction that he has for what he's talking about, and that he's capable of even doing any of those things. And then when he does that, you kind of see in their faces like, okay, no, I can get behind this guy finally.
He does seem like he seems like a joke, but like he's the one that gets him there. He's the one that drives the fucking car all the way there. He's the one that gets, pulled over and deals with the cop and gets away. Like he's winning.
Stuff. I love it. God bless you. God bless you.
We have to talk about the getting pulled over scene. I'm just going to assume that we will. And Doc, what is your favorite character out of these films?
Real quick, so before I go into my favorite character, you guys brought up Stan Grossman. Do you guys know who that's a reference to, or did that ring a bell?
God, it sure does sound familiar. And now I'm like, I have no idea, but I'm very curious.
So the writer screenplay is Michael Arndt, and he acknowledged that Stan Grossman is a reference to Fargo. Stan Grossman was the guy, the money guy, who could get kind of like Stan, says it's a pretty good deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Wow.
That is a big fact with Doc right there. I love that.
Facts with Doc.
My favorite character, man. I didn't know what it was coming into this, but kind of looking over my notes, and I've got a picture pulled up of kind of the Little Miss Sunshine. Fucking Frank, man, Steve Carell's character. Because a couple things. First, again, some facts that I learned that I didn't know about this. So this movie came out in 2006, was filmed 2004, 2005. Fucking Steve Carell wasn't well known at this time at all. So in 2005, 40-Year-Old Virgin just came out, and Office premiered in March of 2005. So this movie, he was cast in this movie before he was even a big actor, and he was cast to play this really like sad, depressing, but kind of comedic type, dry humor type role. And he fucking nails it. Like, that's, to me, you don't hire a comedian. You don't watch The Office and hire him to play this role. Like this, you hire a serious kind of dramatic actor who can play somebody.
He's got chops, Doc. And that first time you see him, how fucking depressed does he look, bro? He's laying it on so thick. Beware and I were talking about it, and you guys can play tennis, that unfortunately Steve Carell, as talented as he is, he kind of took the SNL road, even though he wasn't involved with that show, to kind of like make his acting career branch off. But Beware and I were talking about how he hasn't had many lead roles, and kind of still to this day, not many huge, fantastic ones. The last one I think that was his biggest one was when he was the wrestling coach. Very great supporting actor, though. I think that's a great choice.
He was another one that he recently did was Battle of the Sexes, the same directors as Little Miss Sunshine.
And there also was that series where he is the what is he running? New Savage. Savage could probably help me out with that.
The morning show.
The morning show, that was pretty
That show's
fucking
awesome.
good. Yep, that was really good. Just a one-time hit.
Right.
Yeah, he's got chops, that's for sure.
Don't worry about the chop. You don't know shit about chop.
I want to just kind of tap on real quick is I liked his, we'll get in this maybe a little bit later, but like his whole, like his mentoring of Dwayne's character. So, and like,
yeah, love that.
And where he says, like suffering kind of makes us who we are. And says something to Dwayne, I'm kind of dipping into quotes a little bit, but he says something to Wayne like, man, you can sleep in, or you can sleep for your first 18 years. He's like, but you think of all the suffering you're gonna miss, and so like his outlook on life. What's that?
Prime suffering. I was gonna say high school's prime suffering years.
Yeah, exactly. So it sucks, but there's a lot to gain from that, like your character, and you learn so much from that. And that's kind of very philosophy of Proust.
While we're on the subject of Frank's character, I'd like to point out something that made me smile so big is when the first time that they have to basically push the car and run and get in. Once they're all in, it's the first time that you see him. He is like invigorated. He's happy, smiling, and he's just like, great
and
teamwork.
Running.
Teamwork.
He runs better than Forrest Gump, man. He has the best run I've ever seen in a movie. How about that, Cap? The best.
Yeah, you see that that excitement and that being in the moment and being presented with a challenge, and even like a physical challenge for that matter, really helped with his depression.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fucking fabulous character, great chops. Savage, favorite character?
Yeah, mine was gonna be Greg Kinnear's character of Richard, just because I do love one of the notes I had was his vim and vigor was very evident when in his confidence and his method of what he's like preaching during his little self-help sessions. But I'm gonna pivot and I'm gonna go with Gramps, Alan Arkin's character.
Fabulous.
I think is a huge force in this movie. Doesn't have too many lines. Has an untimely ending, but a very suitable and seems very appropriate for his lifestyle. So I thought he had a great couple lines and some things that he was saying to.
He did have a great couple lines, didn't he? When he went up with each nostril with that $100 bill, didn't he? He did have a couple great ones, didn't he?
They looked more like bumps, but the Abigail Breslin, like some of the dialogue between Olive and Grandpa was really touching, and some of the stuff he was saying to Paul Dano's character Dwayne about getting that young stuff, and there's some good parts there that I
that one
got
women,
a kick out of.
A lot of women.
Can I give you some advice? Well, I'm going to give it to you anyway. I don't want you making the same mistakes I made when I was young.
Can't wait to hear this.
Dwayne, that's your name, right? Dwayne? This is the voice of experience talking. Are you listening? Fuck a lot of women, Dwayne.
Hey.
Not just one woman.
Dad.
A lot of women.
That's enough, right?
Are you getting any?
Dad.
You can tell me, Dwayne. Are you getting any?
Hey, Dad, that's enough. Stop
Will
it.
you kindly not interrupt me, Richard?
I like it when he goes and gives Greg Kinnear like props and tells him he's proud of him up at the front of the car, and like
that's
Greg
great.
Kinnear kind of caught off guard.
Oh yeah,
deters him, but like it actually means a lot to him. That's a great scene.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody carried their weight in that movie pretty equally. I think all the characters were really strong.
About carrying everybody, there was a full fucking cast of top list A chopper actors in Little Miss Sunshine, but my favorite character, no joke, was Olive. She really brought her chops, surrounded by a bunch of great actors. She was a child. She did well. She had multiple good lines, scenes, and one of my favorites too. So we'll just go in from characters to scenes. From Little Miss Sunshine is when she's crying in the hotel room with her grandpa before he ends up passing away, and she is kind of very fucked up by what her dad has said in that whole philosophy of like winners and losers, and she's fucking putting on those real tears. She's a little girl, younger than the same age as my daughter, just chopping it up. And I went to go see what more she did as an actress, and there's not much. She seems like she slid into TV a little bit, but it's probably because she just gave it all, as the kid, and played that role perfect, because you need child actors are very vulnerable sometimes, and it kind of can make a movie bad, in my opinion, especially a great movie. I got to give it up to her. I thought she was fabulous throughout the whole movie. Never corny, never not chopping, surrounded by a primo cast.
One of the best screams, I think, of any movie is when she's on the phone, realizing that she's gonna be in Little Miss Sunshine.
Drop that scream right now.
Place in the state contest in Redondo Beach.
What happened?
Boom. Love that. That is also a great part. But my favorite scene, and I believe for Boys in the Hood, it was the ending of the movie. That was so sad, so dramatic, and just kind of a come down from a film that, like, you're not left with that much happiness after that much redemption and nothing to look forward to. Same way in Menace to Society. It's so sad, but the whole scene from the drive-by shooting into the narration at the end of the film is fucking fabulous, man. It's so tense. He jumps over the body of the kid on the tricycle. Like, that shit, it just hits so hard. The screams. Yeah. Oh man. And then just the whole, I've done too much to turn back, and I've done too much to go on. I guess in the end,
it all catches up with you. My grandpa asked me one time if I care whether I live or die. Yeah, I do. Now it's too late.
Oh my God. I fucking bursted out in tears, man. Now it's too late. He puts that chop on the end, like where he must have been crying in the studio when he recorded that. Now it's too late. If you listen to that, oh my God, that's what made it my best scene. Now it's too late. Those actual words, he's about to cry and he just died. Woo, I'm about to cry, folks. Let's toss our scenes around.
My favorite scene is actually from Menace. I think it's it could be the 5.0 scene where Kane's riding around with the clean Dayton's listening to Computer Love. That's like the coolest. But I actually got the biggest personal, like, goosebumpy reception when they're riding around, when MC8 is driving O-Dog and Kane, and they're about to go get revenge. And he's talking about how, and Love and Happiness by Al Green is playing, like, louder almost than the conversation, which is interesting.
And we just gonna find these little marks and smoke them. Shit ain't that hard.
As
As long as it ain't no crowd. Look, I'm not killing no kids or no old folks, all right? Hey man,
And
who the fuck call me
that's
old
when he's
out there
talking
12
about how he
o'clock at
doesn't
night,
want to
man?
kill kids, and O-Dog's just talking back to him, "You acting like a little bitch right now." And I feel like I've heard that clip used in like multiple rap songs, so it just has this resonating feeling that's kind of stuck with me ever since then. And to go back and watch it now and like just kind of see where the heat of the moment lies in that scene, it's just it's unnerving. It's really good, really great scene. I'll pass it to Doc.
I loved in Little Miss Sunshine, and this kind of goes to, this is still where characters are being developed, but it was such an intense but funny scene as the dinner table scene where they are eating the chicken, but you're learning about all the different characters. They're, it was kind of, you see Greg Kinnear, just a kind of a joke of a character, and then you see, Steve Carell, very depressed, and it's just like, what the fuck am I doing here? And then the Paul Dano, which we didn't give him proper shine in the characters, but he is one of my favorite actors. And although he doesn't have many lines, in this movie, understandably, I thought he was awesome in this role. But you see this kind of angst, him playing this angsty teen, and it's just a very interesting kind of dynamic unfolding in front of our eyes. And I like that as a way. It was kind of a corny way, but also it was an effective way of kind of fleshing the characters out, but as a foreshadowing of like, they're all going to be together in this van on this road trip, but it was kind of a nice kind of glimpse at that.
I just wanted to point out when we were watching that, and I was watching Menace, I was thinking of how they introduced the characters in Menace through the house party scene, and how it's such a deliberately different delivery of the characters, but how it's very similar. It's like you're really going one by one to introduce the characters, but in Menace, they're verbally introducing them and like very specifically, and obviously it's more organic in Little Miss Sunshine. So I just wanted to point that out.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Take time.
Don't apologize at all. It's a sign of weakness.
So it's interesting how stories approach that, and how that approach aligns with how the movie is, and it's the theme of the movie too. But yeah, my favorite scene, and I don't think this is maybe a standout scene, but it's one that kind of resonated with me more so because of the theme of what's going on. With Menace, one of the things that kept coming back to me was like, it's funny that we watch Boys in the Hood first and then we watch Menace, where Boys in the Hood has an ending that is somewhat hopeful. It's sad, one of the characters goes down, but it is somewhat hopeful in that we, hear about Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character going on. In this movie, you're kind of teased with hope. You're teased with the idea that somebody might make it out. To me, some of the scenes that I liked were where they were trying to turn them, where they're trying to tease you. And one of the ones that stood out to me, which some of the characters that I loved in Menace Society were his grandparents, and I loved how genuine they were and how straight up they were. And there's one scene that comes to mind where they're all sitting, and It's a Wonderful Life. It's the grandma, grandpa, and then O-Dog and Kane. They're all sitting around watching It's a Wonderful Life, and you can tell that they don't want to be there. And
Kane doesn't get the movie.
No.
He's watching it and like he literally doesn't understand why would these people be happy? Like he has no context to the movie.
Yeah, man.
They both throw shade at James Stewart, him and his grandpa. No, they really do. I swear to God, it's great. It's a very, very mannerism type of scene.
And he's like, there goes grandpa again, talking that, Christianity. He's like in one ear, out the other. Meanwhile, Kane's sitting there narrating while he's wearing a cross, on a, chain. So I don't know, like it's just
they both are, that is funny. I noticed that they're both wearing a cross.
Yep.
Doc, I had a note about this too, and I thought that was such a strong scene, and I've never caught how strong that scene was until I watched it recently, and how basically like when the advice is presented from a religious perspective, it's like they can't take it seriously because they just it's not easy to digest, and it's not easily available.
It's also it's not practical in their lives.
It's not easily. Yeah. But also, and O-Dog says it too, or one of them says it. It's a white Jesus. They can't appreciate that. They don't know anything but a white Jesus, and the fact that it's been preached to them, yet nothing changes. And so it's like, why would I listen to this? And like the fact that the older generation can only lean on religion, and they can't just remove that. It's like they don't know how to connect. I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and real quick to add to that, like they even have a conversation about like, do I believe in God? Like, nah, like why would if there was a God, why would they put me in these situations?
Yeah.
You know, why would they create this reality? And I think, and when you look at the way they portray, it's like LA, South Central LA is like this dystopian society, and it's like really, really bad. And it's like, yeah, I get his point. I understand where he's coming from totally.
Savage, you want to hit us with your favorite scene?
Yeah, mine's gonna be obvious. The horn scene in Little Miss Sunshine, when the horn's malfunctioning and they get pulled over.
That is very savage.
And when the cop goes around to the back of the car to investigate, what's going on back here, and there's an obvious body wrapped in it's a painfully obvious body being wrapped up in a sheet, in a bed sheet, and on top of that happens to be some porn, and the state
This is a quotable we need so bad.
The state trooper is looking at it, and then he looks up to obviously probably the family looking at him from inside
I
the
like
vehicle.
This on the side of the list. Oh, man. Sweetness. That is sweet. Yeah. Dirty. And this one is one of my favorite. Good, yeah.
How you doing? Yeah. And then he looks back down at the porn. I was laughing so hard, and I think that like that gag of the horn, and it kind of happens a couple more times, and there's more of the horn malfunctioning. In the sound that they make of the horn is so.
The horn cuts him off when he's speaking, and he says to wait.
It's so funny. It's such a
so
cheap gag,
funny.
but it's something that like
I love that. I got that.
So funny sounding.
It's hey, the horn could have been a favorite character. Yeah. Also, we have a dual. We have the
horn is a character itself. One thing I would like to point out about, I haven't talked too much about Menace II Society. I hadn't seen this movie, like Beware said, probably in about 10 years. I thought going into it, it was going to be something that would have depreciated, I guess. It's the movie that I really liked in high school. I thought that looking at it now, I might have a lot more criticism for it. However, I thought this movie was really well acted.
Agreed.
One thing that stood out to me is like the dialogue is super hard to pull off and make it sound genuine, natural, and they do it really super well, to the point where it's like it's probably the most quoted movie amongst like those guys that I grew up with from Churchill, that like Tim and K-Mac and Sulich and all those guys.
Hey, yo, who got some snaps on the Petro? Who got some snaps on the Petro? I got you tomorrow. My motherfucking pocket niggas broke in them up, slanging all that shit in the hood, and y'all ain't got no motherfucking money.
That being said, it's got like the production value of the movie is like awesome too. The lighting of those earlier scenes with Samuel L. Jackson, where he smokes his friend at the poker table, is awesome. Like all the lighting of that, and then the party that they go to after he grows up, and they're kind of reintroducing all these characters. The lighting of that party is like fucking amazing. It looks really like a real party, and the cinematography of that as well is you've got almost kind of like a Goodfellas scene where the camera is following one character overhead through a winding party. Awesome. My favorite scene is going to be from Little Miss Sunshine, specifically just because nobody said it. When Greg Kinnear gets up on stage to support his daughter who's supposedly failing on stage, I think that he kind of flips the script and they turn it into like this sort of punk rock type of event where everything that Olive is striving for is sort of on the line, which I think in their imagination is her self-esteem, is what is on the line. I think what becomes like the reason why like Paul Dano's character Dwayne doesn't want her to be out there is like she doesn't belong here. This isn't her scene. Obviously, these girls are a different breed, and it's a strange, weird thing. And I think that they take that sort of mentality and flip it, and that's, you know, you see that the whole family kind of sticks together in this kind of very strange way. Like they're living their own, they're in their own story, and you can see how clear that is when everybody jumps on stage and starts dancing. You know, it's totally inappropriate, but like it's sort of an insult to the entire establishment, I guess, of that contest. You can see that like there's a handful of supporters in the audience that see through the bullshit of this contest. So it's funny, and it's kind of cheesy and corny, but like I still appreciate it. It's kind of like that explosive ending to the movie.
Can I just add one to that real quick? To like a part of that scene is prior to going up to it, and she won't let him in, and she says that they're like it's too late. They're 5 minutes late or whatever, and then the guy, the DJ, just goes, I mean, I could just put him in the system.
Yeah, I'm not working here next year. These people are fucking crazy.
There's a bunch of small roles at that point that are really great. It's that guy that is the sound engineer. He ends up being fucking great. The guy that sits next to the dad, that's like, you know, the tattoo motorcycle guy. And then, of course, the host for the talent show. All need, there's so much. And, you know, hopefully as we go into quotables, there's some quotables from the host of that show, because he is too much. And I love that.
The host singing America the Beautiful and going Purple Hearted Majesty.
Exactly how he ends it too, in Olive's face.
Oh, it's so funny, man. Yeah, Olive looks disgusted, and she's so perfect in that.
Or how about in Little Miss Sunshine, when after the doctor delivers the news and says that somebody's going to be out to come assist with the bereavement process, and he walks away and goes, Linda!
That was good. That's so funny. I love that. That's one of my favorite parts. Linda!
What about just straight up, hey, you down with the 187?
Oh man, that's ice
that
cold.
Scene where you're talking about, what does he say about where he's talking to the guy who wants the car stolen?
Yeah.
And he just goes, why don't you come up here around 10:30, and his eyes get really huge. 10:30.
I fucking hate Chauncey in that movie. I'm not gonna say what his nickname is, but I fucking hate him in that movie.
Cheap Shot, Little Miss Sunshine, the liquor store or the gas station is a little bit forced. The fact that we see his, the professor, the other guy that.
I don't like that.
Yeah,
but
I don't like that
you know,
scene at all.
he goes in to go get something. So you want anything?
Give me some porn. Okay. Get me something really nasty too. I don't want any of that airbrush shit. Okay. Okay. Here's a 20. Get yourself a little treat too. Get yourself a fag rag.
All right, I will.
All right. This is the time of the night where.
Wait, I had one more is the host when he says, "Wasn't that a Stardust fantasy?"
I'm so glad we didn't leave that out. Oh, he is so good, man. Very good. That whole ending of that movie is fabulous. So out of these two fabulous films that we all seem to agree upon, this is the time of the night where I go to the doc to see how fabulous they were according to the Academy.
All right. So Menace II Society, 1993, unfortunately did not get any Academy nods. It was an independent film. It did get recognition at Cannes Film Festival and won some at the Film Independent Spirit Awards. And it also took home Best Movie at the MTV Movie and TV Awards 1994.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which it went up in 1994, went up against at MTV Movie and TV Awards. It went up against Philadelphia, Fugitive, Jurassic Park, and Schindler's List, and took home Best Movie, MTV.
That's wild. That's so surprising.
Yeah, it's a crazy year. Little Miss Sunshine, 2007 Academy Awards, had 4 nominations, including Best Supporting Actress, Abigail Breslin, Best Picture, Best Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actor as Alan Arkin. And it took home 2 Oscars. It took home Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, Alan Arkin, and Best Screenplay by Michael Arndt.
It's time for us to cast our vote. I watched Little Miss Sunshine first. I loved it, every thing about it. But really, what got me seeing anything about it I didn't like was trying to compare it and writing notes in our intro to Menace to Society. But then also, we've mentioned so much about like what films we enjoy to rewatch and still that we're going to carry on with us for the second half of our life. Mine's Little Miss Sunshine. I'll see that film probably 10 more times in my life, if not more. You know, I'll show it to my daughter, I'll watch it with my family. And not that I wouldn't do the same with Menace. It's just to show that it is a great film and it has a contrast and a reality and something that's still relevant and powerful. But as a film, that the cheap shots, the organic cheap shots that hit my sweet spots as a film, Little Miss Sunshine did it pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, man, this is a tough one. I actually came into this not before I even watched the movies. I didn't know what I was going to vote for. Coming into even this podcast tonight, I didn't know what I was going to vote for, but I figured it out. I'll start with Little Miss Sunshine, kind of talking about what I loved about this and what I took home from this was the whole, we talked about the philosophical. All it is, you did a really nice job kind of opening up, introducing these kind of different ideas of the American dream and success and perfection versus kind of these ideas of nihilism and how the Proust kind of suffering makes us who we are. And I'm actually reading a book right now called The Obstacle is the Way, and kind of just talks about how your drive, your persistence, your character, who you are is defined by not your successes but the challenges that you meet and how many times you kind of fall down and how you basically pick yourself back up, essentially. So all that resonated with me, and I appreciate that message. One of the other things that I loved about Little Miss Sunshine, actually, that I didn't know beforehand, but in doing research, finding out that the directors were Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris. And I was like, who are these folks? Because, to come in on the scene and, have success at this level was pretty impressive. So I dug into a little bit of their background, and you guys are going to really appreciate this. So they started out, they're a married couple. They started out directing music videos, but in peak 90s alternative. And so basically Smashing Pumpkins, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Jane's Addiction, Macy Gray, Janet Jackson, Oasis, Weezer, Ramones, Beastie Boys, REM, Paula Abdul, even they've also directed commercials, more recently Apple, ESPN, VW, interestingly, Sony PlayStation, Gap, etc. And they've also, what I love is they've directed episodes of Mr. Show, the Bob Odenkirk and David Cross sketch comedy show. So they are very diverse in what they do, but have an awesome perspective. And one of the things that they specifically directed that I love is that they directed the Smashing Pumpkins 1979 music video, which is classic. Like that is, I don't know, man. Like that to me just is 90s, and I love that, and I can see that video, and I can see that video in this movie too. So I really love that aspect, and I didn't know that beforehand, but it was definitely something that weighed in. That said, all it is, you said movies that you're going to carry with you and things that you're, which is the better movie, and when bringing it back to kind of like, I do feel like this is a darker picture than Boys in the Hood, and to remind, not spoiler alert, but like Boys in the Hood, we voted through on the last one. And my main complaint actually with Boys in the Hood was that parts of it were cheesy and corny. The soundtrack wasn't that good. There were a couple songs there, and the acting wasn't that great at times, and it was overacting. And I feel like this Menace to Society actually is, Kat brought it up, acting is, A1. We talked about how money the soundtrack is and how not cheesy this is. This is very real. This is very realistic. It's very gritty. It's very, it seems more real than The Boys in the Hood. It's definitely, I think, more quotable too, and we kind of talked about that. And I think it's still such a very relevant story. The only thing that I didn't like about Menace to Society is the ending. And I think that what I didn't like about it is that like it didn't have hope, and it is super depressing. It is super sad. But the more that I sat with it, the point of the movie came across is that it is this unending cycle, or at least that's what it's trying to demonstrate, and that something needs to be done. A change needs to be made, or else this is going to continue to happen. And
it's supposed to be brothers, man.
Yeah, man. And what I also loved about this movie, Menace II Society, as compared to Boys in the Hood, is that I felt like this movie had a really strong female character, and we didn't really talk about this at all. But Jada Pinkett is in this and is her Ronnie and her role, and I loved. She plays like this strong, feminine character. She also kind of plays the heroine in distress. She also, plays these different roles, but like I just loved her. She plays like, the sex appeal. Yeah, the hot mom. So I don't know. I love that aspect, and to me, I actually feel like Menace is the better movie, the one that I would want to watch. And I agree with Cap. Like I hadn't seen this in at least 10 years, at least, maybe likely longer. And I definitely did not think it was going to age this well. And it really from get-go, I was just like, oh shit, this is an A+ movie. This movie is on point. The narrative is focused. It's tight. And it's doing it for me. And so my vote is for Menace.
Doc's votes in for Menace. Also, can't leave DJ Quick off the soundtrack. Since we're talking about DJ Quick, favorite rapper of Beware's, we'll go to Beware for his vote.
I was watching the movie and I was like, this is probably the best soundtrack from any movie I've ever watched. And I mean that, like, literally has a lot of my favorite artists, if not like my 3 favorite artists ever. Real
quick, Beware. I don't mean to interrupt you. Sorry, man.
No, please.
Those are likely your favorite artists because of this movie, or one of the reasons. Like this probably introduced us, right, to a lot of this.
For sure. Definitely Computer Love. Like Computer Love's legit probably one of my top 5 favorite songs. Like Frankie knows that. Frankie has a Computer Love Zap sweatshirt. And that was the first time I'd ever heard it was in this movie. And it's because the scene's so cool. Kane's rolling in the 5.0 and he's just the man. He feels like the man. The way that it's shot, he is the man, and that definitely resonates. The music definitely resonates, and the movie definitely resonates, man.
I remember buying the soundtrack for that song, for that song.
And
it's
too,
not on there.
I was just gonna say that the soundtrack is missing half the best songs in this movie. All the classic R&B songs, they probably only got the rights to put out in the movie and didn't get to put on the soundtrack, or however that works. Like the Atomic Dog, Computer Love, Love and Happiness. There's so many good songs, man. The movie's just amazing in that regard, and just again amazing all across the board. Like Doc said, that's definitely going to be my pick. I really liked Miss Sunshine. That being said, I thought it was quite enjoyable throughout. My thing with Miss Sunshine though is, and I think this is the biggest tipping point in favor of Menace, is I really believe everything in Menace. Like there's nothing that I don't believe. Even when O-Dog's completely off the rails, it's believable, and that's what's scary about it. Wherein Little Miss Sunshine, there's multiple scenes in that movie I just straight up didn't believe, and I didn't think they were good. Like I didn't believe the Steve Carell, the doctor coincidental porno scene. It was just not well done. It was just clunky. It felt clunky, the storyline, the delivery. There was a few I didn't believe that they would bring in Olive to see their grandpa's dead body. Like, why would you do that? That's not that, like, I get you're a little bit off the kilter here, but like nobody would do that. And like, it just didn't make any sense. And I have a note, like, this doesn't make any sense. The scene's still really fun. I really enjoy that scene, and it's great, and it's needed to deliver. But like, they could have just wrote it a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
And
I
think that. Go ahead.
Add in one thing, just as you're kind of going on this, that I was going to bring up, but it is something that I felt the same way about Little Miss Sunshine. And we brought this part up where the dad goes to Greg Kinnear's character and says, "I'm proud of you, son." Da 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 da. And I remember thinking, I even said this to Amy, I said, Greg Kinnear's character wouldn't be the way that he is if his dad was like that. And if he got that support throughout his life and had that father figure. We don't know the history. We already said that. But like that snapshot doesn't add up.
And that right there, that's part of it though, because it's like, had they thought about the dad a little bit more and they fleshed that character out, that maybe would have been thought through. And in the same regard, the other note that I have is that when Paul Dano's character, and this is probably my favorite scene in Little Miss Sunshine, is when he realizes he's colorblind. He just through the roof nails that scene. He's excellent. One of my favorite actors, like you guys said. But when he's down there and Greg Kinnear does not say anything to him. He literally doesn't say anything to him. It's his son. He doesn't address the situation at all. The biggest thing is most important thing to his son. And this guy who is supposed to be this uplifting person and be the person that's the reinforcer to get you off and get you back, which he's doing with his daughter, but he can't do it all for his son. He has no words for him. Like, that's just not even believable. Like, I was kind of thrown back by that, and it kind of ruined the scene. Like, it kind of cuts the scene short, in my opinion, when I had that thought process. I was like, Paul Dano brung it, like, but that's ultimately why I picked Menace, because there was none of that to me. The storyline was 100%. The only thing in Menace that I didn't love, this is such a weird little nitpick, was the black fade to black transitions. Only thing I didn't like in the whole movie.
I can definitely appreciate all of those points that you made. It does make my decision a little tougher, just because I think that Menace shaped up to be way better than I anticipated it being. Not that it wasn't great watching it in high school, but like I said, it's a pretty tight movie. That being said, Little Miss Sunshine is just one of those movies that I think I gotta pick because it's always gonna be one that I can rely on to make me laugh, no matter what. And it's like pretty rare that like I'll throw something on that I know is gonna like actually cheer me up, even though it's not like especially uplifting to me for some reason, whatever it is, even if it's just to hear that horn, kills me every time. So I think that the cast is really, really, really strong. And I like a movie that does so much with so little. So yeah, that's just gonna be my choice. I think that pretty much Menace would take it in almost, well, a lot of other matchups, I would say, but like Little Miss Sunshine is probably one of my top 10 favorite movies.
So it comes down to Savage. We have a tie right now, and Savage is our last vote, and let's see what he votes for.
Menace II Society is a much better movie than Boys in the Hood. I think that's across the board. I saw both these movies for the first time, within a matter of weeks, and I think Menace II Society actually holds up a lot better acting. It's a beware music fest throughout, and I think we all appreciate that. And it's not cheesy. Like, I thought that there were a lot of cheesy aspects of of Boys in the Hood that I didn't think were going to be that weren't present in Menace to Society. Also, it surprisingly holds up very well. One funny thing I wanted to add when you were talking about the music, when they're playing Atomic Dog, the closed caption said Snoop Doggy Dogg playing, which I thought was kind of funny. Like, what a weird
funny.
fuck up to have. Going on to Little Miss Sunshine, it's peak Greg Kinnear, one of my favorite actors of that era. Probably his last great role. There's some awesome music in this, specifically Devachka kind of has the score throughout, including like the intro music, which is awesome. A couple Sufjan Stevens songs, obviously Rick James at the end, great way to pull it all together. Little Miss Sunshine suffers from extreme quirkiness, maybe to a fault. I think the ending is kind of schlocky. It's a little too feel good, a little too happy, a little too weird for the sake of being weird, but it's still it works for this movie in this context. I don't know. The ending is the only thing that really bugged me about Little Miss Sunshine. I think the rest of the movie is very close to perfect, aside from the part where they run into the ex-boyfriend at the gas station. That part's terrible. My vote's gonna be for Little Miss Sunshine. I think it's a great movie.
Wow, no doubt. I mean, both movies are great, and I liked all the points we made about both of them. Also, even with the cheap scene that nobody likes, it had some of the the more riskier, funnier humor in it. We get more time to talk about it, so maybe digesting it again in round two, we'll really see how good of a film it is. And Savage usually about now tells me what Little Miss Sunshine will go against in round two.
So Little Miss Sunshine went up against the funnier matchups that we've had, whereas Little Miss Sunshine versus Menace to Society, very opposite movies. Now it's going to go against a like-minded movie. It's going to go up against One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which I think is like a perfect one-to-one comparison as far as like, the mental illness issue, and a lot of other like psychological behavior that you could probably tie within both movies. I think it's going to be
that'll be a second round highlight for sure.
That'll be good.
Hey, Menace II Society, fucking great film. It really gives us a good perspective. When I have a hard time writing the intro for comparing films, like I know that I'm in a tricky situation where like these are very potent films that are important and that are going to, we're going to carry on with us the rest of our life. So, just for a little bit of a lighter note for everybody that loves Menace II Society so much and is sad that it's not moving on, let's go to that cheery old Hat song.
It's a hat, it's a hat, it's a teddy, it's a hat.
Let's go do that. Let's go do that. Let's go do that. Let's go do that.
Take your hat off. Excuse me.
Let's go do that. Let's go do that. Let's go do that.
It's a hat, it's a hat, it's a hat.
Shuffling, folks. Back at it again. Here we go. I have one in my hand. Had two for a second, slid it off. It's upside down, right side up. Yes. I have R.L. Stein's coming. Yep, there they are. Hairs are raised. I'm very excited about this one. Almost done with the book. Jurassic Park vs. 12 Monkeys.
Yes.
Awesome. I've been waiting for this one, man.
Me too.
I'm super pumped about this.
I saw my first drive-in movie and it was Jurassic Park this summer.
Hey, man, we're
Good
taking it back.
experience. Yeah,
I've been excited about this. I'm going to watch this with my daughter and not tell my wife. Since my wife doesn't listen to this podcast, we're okay. Other wives do. Please, other wives out there, don't tell my wife that I'm going to show this movie to my daughter, but we are going to watch 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys.
Just got to show her Brad Pitt.
You're gonna watch 12 Monkeys with Lauren?
Yeah, tomorrow.
That's good.
I thought you were
we're gonna go. No, we're gonna go on a prehistoric journey, obviously, and it's not that bad. And she's been
I feel
hearing.
like that's
I read it in front of her all day. I'm gonna finish this book before we go into the episode, and I'm not gonna bother you with so many references from the book to the film. It's not important. The book that made the film doesn't matter. It's gonna be a fantastic watch. I know Savage is excited. I know we're all excited.
Yeah. Never seen it.
Hold on to your butts.
I can't help it. I love you.
Forrest, you don't know what love is.
I'm not going to debate you, Jerry. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and debate.
You're a bald-faced liar. A fucking liar.
I mean, God forbid they should make a mistake and forget to steal.
I will not apologize for what I want.
Stop trying to control everything and just let go.
Hey, drink it up. Don't bully me.
You like Huey Lewis and the News?
They're okay. Either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Hold on to your butts.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Our Thread Podcast, bringing our content to you, featuring all it is.
It's official, old buddy. Well, it has been.
Beware.
From then on, he was known as Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
The Doc.
You're the doc, Doc.
The Cap.
Oh, if you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask? Big fuck.
And myself, Savage.
I'm 6'5", 220, and there's two of them.